Hello, this is Sharon Sarago here, and today we're going to talk about shift in person. Last week we looked at pronoun usage, and we found that pronouns have to agree with the antecedent. But now we're going to see something else about pronoun usage. Earlier in the writing section, we learned that we cannot shift verb tenses from one to the other unless we have a good reason. The same thing is going to be true about pronouns. We cannot shift the person of a pronoun. So in order to understand that, let's see what person is in the first place. We have I, you, he, she, and it, which you know. Those are our pronouns, singular. And over to the left, you'll see that they're designated as first person, second person, and third person. Of course, the first is I, and second person is you, and that third person, he, she, or it. Now, you can see that all nouns that we have are labeled as third person. For example, we say Dan went to work. Well, if we were to substitute a pronoun for Dan, we would wind up with he, which is the third person pronoun. So when you're reading sentences and you see a noun there, you'll know that it is going to be third person. And the issue is we cannot have a shift in person in our sentences. Generally, we see this error occur when we begin in third person and then suddenly shift into second person. So let's see this example. A student needs to study hard if you expect to get good grades. Well, clearly, student is our third person, and you is the second person. And we've had a shift here. What we should have said is, a student needs to study hard if he expects to get good grades. Now, many errors of this kind can be easily averted if you will simply identify the antecedent of every pronoun and be sure that the two agree. In the example below, the antecedent for he is student. They're both third person. So you can see this. A student needs to study hard if he expects to get good grades. So on your test, the thing that you want to do is look at the pronoun wherever you find it. In this sentence it would be he, and immediately you stop and go look for the antecedent. Here's another faulty sentence. I tried to be diligent, but you can never be too careful. Now here we have I is first person and you is second person. Again, we need to look for the antecedent of the pronoun you. And when you do that, you'll see that the word that you is replacing or referring to is I, which is the antecedent. But the problem is that you is second person and our antecedent is first person, and they have to be the same. So I should have said, I tried to be diligent, but I can never be too careful. Now, the first person is consistent. Now, here's a tip. Anytime you see the word you in a sentence, immediately check for the antecedent and be sure it does not refer to a third person noun. Actually, you should always avoid the use of you anyway in your essays. So now let's practice. You're going to read the following sentences for shifts in person, and if the sentence is correct, you'll write correct in the blank, and if it contains an inappropriate shift in person, then if it's correct, of course you'll put the word correct. So if it's wrong, you can write incorrect or I, and if it's correct, write correct or C. Now, you've already printed out all of your exercises, and you can do these on your paper. So you might want to pause, but this video is actually almost over because it's such a short subject. So why don't we go ahead and finish, and then you can work your exercise after we're through. So we also have our test taking practice, our shift in tense, voice, and person. Now, this test is over all of those, and we have studied all of them. And then we'll have our passage-based testing, and again, this test is going to be over the combination of shifts in tense, voice, and person. Then you'll have your answers, which you can check. These answers are at the back of your printed materials also. So when you do this, just be sure that if you have a question about anything, you mark it so that when we get to our webinars, then we can talk about it again. So I will be sending some more stuff to you in just a day or two. Thanks. Bye-bye.